What is up, everybody? Lewis here with Higher Self Integration. How we all doing? Mental health concerns, trauma, depression, suicidal tendencies, addiction. Now, many folks come to psychedelics and the integration process, or even yoga, meditation, whatever, to try to solve their issues, their crises, their repeated unwanted patterns in life, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, what have you. So it's a huge topic of interest to me. That's, a lot of why this channel is built here in the first place. I came to my spiritual practice, psychedelics, let's say, initially 13 years ago is when I had my first psychedelic experiences, and they were just kind of scratching the surface. I was in the pit of my kind of depression and addiction at that time. I was just really taking anything. I was taking opiates, I was smoking a lot of cigarettes, smoking a lot of weed, way too much, just trying to escape, trying to numb. I'm gonna get more into my own story and what I've kind of learned along my experience of overcoming that stuff and working closely with people who have also done the same. If you folks find any interest in this video, please like it, subscribe to this channel, share it around. It's a brand new video and I'm trying to rise up the YouTube algorithm so that way this content can reach a wider audience. I appreciate it so much. So yeah, gosh, I had my first spiritual experiences, if you want to call it that. I do now, with mushrooms, LSD. I was about 20 years old, like I said, 12, 13 years ago. And you start to see yourself objectively. You see yourself outside of your own limited point of view. We kind of have these points of view that we build up based on our life experiences. We're programmed with certain beliefs, certain this is okay, that's okay, we should prioritize this, value that, whatever. And a lot of that I've learned can tie into why we're not happy in the first place. Okay, we are unique souls and unique individuals, and we are meant to be bursting with love and passion and stuff like that, but we're kind of molded to be fit into this corporate recycling machine over here and not have any feelings and just work 9 to 5, and that can seem so stressful that oftentimes we just cope. We try to cope with addictions, medications, drugs, whatever. And through that coping, we kind of suppress those feelings. We suppress that depression. Or sometimes we don't suppress it and the depression is just loud and clear and it dominates our life and it can keep us from moving or having motivation. We have all these beliefs inside of us, I did, of, I'm not good enough. What's the point? A lot of these things kept me a little bit more stuck than I could have been in my depression and stuff. But of course we go through things for reasons in life. I went through that, but because of that hard experience, those hard experiences, I came out the other side with a newfound knowledge and understanding about myself. And I believe that's kind of how the world and the universe works, in the third dimension and on Earth at least, right? So a lot of people come to psychedelics or yoga or meditation as a means to find truth, to find healing, to find freedom. The perspective that I like is psychedelics are a perspective medicine. Getting into yoga, meditation can also be a perspective medicine, because when you slow down your racing thoughts and your breath, or when you take a psychedelic, you're giving a chance to have a perspective outside of your own current perspective. It will give you a vision, a message. People have these very spiritual experiences, including myself, without psychedelics as well. That's why when I talk about integration, it's not just limited to psychedelics, because I've had out-of-body experiences connected with my spirit guides, the higher dimensions and so on without psychedelics as well. And many ancient traditions around the globe did this and still do. Ancient India and Egypt and in South America, these indigenous cultures, they all connected with spirit in some form. So I guess a point that I'm trying to, one of the points that I'm trying to get across is that a lot of our issues, I learned mental health issues, trauma, PTSD, whatever, can be improved. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm speaking for what I have seen, what a lot of research has shown. Johns Hopkins University has a huge research facility that they've opened up where they're doing clinical studies with therapists on psychedelics. There's been a lot of other clinical studies, even in the 60s and such, and they've found a lot of great evidence in it helping folks overcome their addictions, their alcoholism, their depression, and so on. So, back to the point is that there is something very oftentimes that we can do to make our condition better or more bearable. And it isn't instant. It's not, you don't have like a mystical experience from yoga or psychedelics or meditation and then boom, instantly, be freed of all of your mental woes and such and traumas. What they do though is they shine a big light on them. They say, for me, for instance, Lewis, you have all these negative beliefs that you're carrying forward, like you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. What's the point of living? There is no point of living. I was just brought to this planet unwillingly, all that. And me telling myself those things made me more depressed, and they made me more stuck in my addictions because I was depressed and suicidal and going through bipolar tendencies. So starting there, later on, I worked with psychedelics a little bit more. I really got into a daily meditation and yoga practice, and I started to catch myself in these mental loops of myself getting down and negative and depressed and angry and blaming and all of that. And that's why integration work is so important. That's kind of what I help people with today through my coaching process. I was shown a lot of great tools that psychedelic spirits have shown me, the mushroom mostly, about how to journal in a constructive way, to accept how you're feeling, to validate how you're feeling, to also add new perspectives to help shift that feeling. And done with consistency, commitment, and dedication, just like any exercise, you could get stronger in that area with commitment and consistency. So I see many people make it to the other side of their PTSD, their depression, and so on. And I see some people even have psychedelics or spiritual experience, but then never really do much integration work after that. And a lot of times they slip and they go back into their mental loops and patterns. And there's nothing wrong with that. And, it's not about negative judgment or anything, but I feel with a committed practice and committed structure, you can work through these things. So these mystical experiences, they can show you, very often they show folks their kind of generational lineage. They showed me, especially, and many that I know, the perspective of their grandparents, their great grandparents. They show you the unity in all things. Like, wow, I was just like that in some way. Oh, wow. On some level, you can not apply this belief or not, but I think if you work with psychedelics long enough, or in yoga or meditation with a lot of commitment, you'll start to see the unity in things and what's called oneness. In yoga and other cultures, there's called Atman and Brahman. There's your individual self, and then there's the collective self. Like, I believe now that we are all a branch of the same tree that is the energy of God, that God is an energy that binds all things together like the force, right? So given those kind of perspectives, like, oh wow, my parents are very similar to me, that kind of is very different than I am angry at my parents, or right? Rather than, I'm actually connected to them on some level, and I'm a generational split off of their little branch. So some people can get by with just having a couple aha moments with these spiritual experiences, these mystical experiences, and after that they can kind of overcome their issues pretty quickly. And sometimes some folks need a little bit more work and diligence and practice, and that's okay. The way that I see it is there's only movement in this universe. Time is just a simple system of measurement, but movement, we're either progressing forward or progressing backwards. We're either, making progress with our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health, or we're going, against progress. We're going, down the rabbit hole again. And, this whole process is not easy. I can say that for sure. But it is one of those things that with effort and heart and intention, you can overcome a lot and have lasting fruits that come with that work. These fruits help you feel better, and they will relieve you and free you for sure. It's a work that's worth doing. So I think it should be done with a lot of care. If you're ever going to seek a psychedelic guide or a shaman or a trip sitter or go in on your own, just treat it with a lot of respect. Put your hands in the air with surrender. Say, I don't really know what I'm doing in this earth. I'm kind of lost. Please help me. Spirit, please help me, God. And with that attitude of surrender, if you've ever been in the psychedelic community for very long, or even in the yoga or meditation community for very long, surrender is big. It means surrendering the ego, surrendering the self, the limited concept of self that we have created for ourselves in society. So coming into it with that kind of mindset will help the process be more smooth and gentle. Because sometimes some scary things can happen on these mystical experiences. Like, you can see a demon and it might be really scary, but then you might see that that demon is actually you in another form, and you can learn how to shake hands and make peace with that demon. So find a guide, find a shaman, find a psychotherapist if you are afraid or if you need help. I'm not giving any advice, by the way. I'm just, if you were in this situation, this is what I would do type of thing. But many people are seeking help right now because we are living in some crazy times in the planet, and mental health, emotional health is not really being prioritized as it should in this system. We should be taught to meditate from a young age. We should be taught to validate our feelings from a young age. We should be taught that it's okay to have feelings and all that. Let's talk about this very important point here at the end of the video. Feelings are huge. They're important. They are there for a reason. I feel a big problem in this society is that we reject and abandon and deny feelings in the first place. But feelings are there for a reason. They're here to teach us something. They're here to navigate us. But we kind of bottle up and hush up those feelings that aren't accepted and praised by society, like depression and anger. We deny them, and we don't want to be seen as weak, and we just want to get back to work and make that money, right? And I don't want to be seen as weak to others or myself. So feelings is where we need to be. That's where we need to focus. That is what can guide us. Intuition is a feeling in itself, and intuition can guide us in the right direction every single day. But if we're saying, no feelings, I'm going to deny you and abandon you and not accept you and validate you and all that stuff, or work through it, then we're turning off that chance of having a very powerful intuition that can guide us into the right direction each and every moment, each and every day. Thank you all so much for your time. My name is Lewis. Glad to be of service on this channel. Again, please like this video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel. Much love. Peace.